What's up YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Arataki Itto's Constellation or choosing his weapon. I get this question a lot, whether or not they should go for his C1 or maybe even his C2 or go for his signature weapon. Well, as you can clearly see, I decided to go for his signature weapon, but in today's video, I hope that I can help you come to a conclusion on which one to choose, because I honestly don't think one is better than the other here. You see, the thing about Arataki Itto's Constellations is that they aren't going to actually increase the damage in numbers of your attacks, but they do have theoretical increases in DPS, since you are going to be able to do more charge slashes, and you're also going to have higher uptime on your elemental burst. So in theory, your DPS does increase, however the damage numbers are going to stay exactly the same. Whereas with your weapon, your damage numbers will get higher comparatively to 4-star weapons like the Serpent Spine or the White Blind, and also depending on how far you've refined them, you're going to get higher damage numbers with the Redhorn Stonethresher. Let's talk about the pity, however, because at the end of the day, we want to equate pulling a character constellation to pulling a weapon. So let's just very quickly recap how the pity system works on the character banner and the weapon banner. The hard pity for the character banner is 90 and the soft pity is 75. The hard pity for the weapon banner is 80 and the soft pity is 63. So I've seen a lot of people equate one pull on the weapon banner as 1 or 2 constellations for the featured 5-star. However, personally, in my opinion, 2 constellations is way too much to equate to a single 5-star weapon pull, especially with the new epitomized path. This relies heavily on winning a 50-50, however this one also relies on winning one of the 2 5-star weapons. So in order to win a C1 guaranteed, that's 180 hard pities or 150 pulls for 2 soft pities in order to guarantee a C1. For C2, that's going to be 360 pulls on hard pities and 300 pulls for soft pities to guarantee a C2. Whereas with the weapon banner, since we have this, you only need a max of 240 wishes with hard pities or 190 wishes with soft pities. 189 to be exact, because that's 63 times 3. So, with that info, I'd rather equate one constellation with his signature weapon, because 190 soft pities is pretty close to 150 soft pities for a C1, whereas C2 requiring 300 soft pities is a little bit too much. So let's first talk about the benefits of going for his weapon. Well, obviously this weapon is Arataki Itto's best in slot, and if you were to compare this to the Serpent Spine and the White Blind, there is certainly a difference in damage between them all. Compared to an R5 Serpent Spine, there's about a 7% damage difference total for his typical burst rotation. Of course, it's going to depend on which combo you do, but if you do the right combo, it's around 7%. And then if your Serpent Spine is only R1, then there's about a 16% damage difference. At R3, there's about 11.5% difference, and an R5 White Blind is about 18.4% damage difference. So in my opinion, anything above 7% is quite a noticeable increase in damage. If you want a more in-depth explanation on how his weapons compare to each other, I recommend you check out my other content, especially my Arataki Itto build guide video and my weapon analysis video. But yes, the Redhorn Stonethresher is a very good weapon. Now if we were to move on to a C1, in my opinion, I don't think his C1 is really all that great. It's a pretty nice constellation to have if you're entering his elemental burst with 0 stacks, because you passively regenerate some and you instantly gain 2 stacks. So this way you completely omit your normal attack combo and you can just go straight into your charge attack slashes. However, if you go straight into your charge attack slashes, you won't have a chance to use Ushi in your combo rotation, and Ushi is a very, very strong option to use during your elemental burst. This is because Ushi has incredibly high scaling, and he is going to provide you with a lot of energy. So in order to maximize damage and energy efficiency, you definitely want to use Ushi at least twice during your elemental burst rotation. And then if you already have full stacks going into your elemental burst, then all this Constellation is going to do is give you a couple of extra charge slashes if you enter into your charge slash combo right after using your burst. Instead of doing 4 charge slashes into a final charge slash with C0, you're going to do about 6 or 7 into your final charge slash. And doing a couple of extra charge slashes may or may not actually be an increase to your DPS because you don't do more final charge slashes or throw out Ushi during your burst window. If you watch my combo rotation video on Arataki Itto, this will start to make a lot more sense, so I'll leave a link to that down in the description or leave it as a card somewhere on the screen. So all in all, I really just don't think his C1 is all that great. So that's why it sucks that it has to come before his C2, which I think is actually really good. This Constellation essentially makes the cooldown on your elemental burst 0. Again, if you watched my combo video, then you will know because I showed you that the true downtime of Itto's burst is only about 3 seconds. So with this cooldown decrease, and with only 3 Geo characters, this means that you essentially have 100% uptime on your burst, as well as the fact that he can regenerate energy up to 18 is pretty damn good. In order to take full advantage of this, you need 3 Geo characters, and that is typically the type of team comp that you would run with Arataki Itto. So even though without C2, your elemental burst has a very low uptime, sometimes you just don't have enough energy to pop it off of cooldown, even if you properly funnel the geoparticles to your Arataki Itto. And if you can't pop your burst off of cooldown, then yes, that is a big DPS loss. So having it off of cooldown and having that extra energy is super valuable. You might think that all the geo characters on your team might be enough to charge your elemental burst by the time he's done with his elemental burst, but I've been finding more and more matchups where I just don't have enough energy after a single rotation. And if these matchups start becoming more apparent, then that extra energy is going to be very good. The Rift Hound enemies, they don't seem to drop a lot of energy, so against those types of enemies, I'm finding that I don't have my burst up again after one rotation, even if I'm running a triple geo or even a mono geo comp. And if you have to waste time funneling energy into your Itto, your damage is definitely going to decrease. If we very quickly do the math, 3 Geo characters and no energy recharge will refill Itto's burst up to half naturally with this Constellation. 18 plus the average of 7 particles with 2 Ushi, assuming a triple Geo comp. So 18 plus 21 is about 39 energy, and he has a 70 cost burst, so that's a little bit over half energy. This means that with geoparticles coming from your geoconstructs and damaging enemies, this Constellation should guarantee that you have a full burst in most situations after you complete your burst. So in my opinion, I believe that Itto's C2 is more valuable than his C1. However, it does come down to the matchup that you're fighting. In matchups where there are just tons of enemies, you're going to have absolutely no problems with energy. It's only the matchups where you just don't get enough energy from damaging them. It's not until you hit C4 where Arataki Itto's damage numbers, like the actual numbers you see on screen, will actually go up. However, his C2 will give you a theoretical DPS increase since you can cast your elemental burst off of cooldown. So here's what I would do depending on the situation that you have. If you can only go up to C1, then I would choose his weapon over C1. If you can get to C2, then I would go ahead and go for C2 and stick with a Serpent Spine at high refinement. However, if your Serpent Spine is not at least R4, then I would totally just go for his weapon. If you can afford to be patient and then refine your Serpent Spine up to R5, then yes, just go ahead and go with a Serpent Spine R5 because the damage difference between an R5 Serpent Spine and a Red Horn Stonethresher is not that much. And it's very highly dependent on the combo that you use. That changes the damage difference between these two weapons. So if you don't really want to get sweaty with it, and you don't want to learn those optimal combos, then Serpent Spine is just going to be just fine. I hope that video helped you out, guys. And if it did, don't forget to hit that like button. Maybe even consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget, I'm on Twitch, and I also have a Discord. Links are down below. Thank you so much if you made it this far, and until next time, I will see you guys later.